So the main aim of our project that was funded by the AHRC for 5 years with a grant of £7.2 million is to support innovation and growth in the region, in the creative economy of the region, and is specifically aimed at freelancers, micro businesses, and SMEs. It's based on a strong strategic partnership with 6 kind of members of this consortium, which involves the 4 universities, Birmingham City University, Coventry, Birmingham, and Warwick, plus the Royal Shakespeare Company and Digital Catapult, and we all work together to support the cluster. As I said, our main aim is innovation and growth in the region. And the way to do this, to achieve this, is by creating an ecosystem where there's a lot more activity in the region among the different stakeholders, among companies, cultural organizations, universities, and all working together to develop the creative economy in the region. Our program is built around 3 main strands. There is a strand around skills development, which has to do with internships and PhDs, collaborative doctoral awards, actually, so which means PhDs in industry. And we've got a few at the moment that are out there being advertised for people to apply. Then we have a big business support program in which we basically support businesses not only on their needs as businesses, but also in terms of their upskilling for creative technologies specifically. And this program involves various activities from workshops to seminars, specific activities around technologies that are important for your work. And then the largest part of the program is our collaborative R&D program, which is basically a series of funding calls, of which this is one, that are supported then by the 4 universities and the Royal Shakespeare Company in terms of providing the expertise to help with your R&D. Our industry partners, as you can see, are many and varied in the region and also nationally. And these are all partners that have pledged to support the program somehow, either with the facilities, their people, activities, showcasing our work. So there will be opportunities to work with some of these partners for all the people involved in our programs involving this call. Slightly more in detail, what we mean by building an ecosystem is really by providing everyone here that has a creative business to access the technical expertise, the knowledge that is in universities, and also industry contacts that are relevant for their business. So that's why we support every grant with a program of R&D, which is separate from the grant, is additional to the grant, and allows you to get access to expertise and facilities in the universities that are part of the program. We also have, for all the industry partners on CreaTech Frontiers also play a role, and they also will, in specific cases, provide their own expertise and access to facilities to support the work of the program. So the call that we launched yesterday is our second call. We had the Foundations call. Some of you probably applied to it or were aware already last year. The Foundations call last year was for 2 type of grants, one Explore at 5K and one at 10K, the experiment grants. This time we are offering 10 grants of £25,000 each. So we've got a total budget of £250,000 for this call. And we are also focusing this call on 2 specific areas of the creative industries. So the live performance and immersive experiences. And so we are not looking for things like, for example, gaming or other applications of creative technologies specifically for this call. There will be further calls in the future that will address those areas. We want to focus specifically on innovation in live performance and immersive experiences. So we call this frontier innovation. What do we mean by that? So going beyond what is currently possible thinking about new ways of engaging with audiences. So not only in terms of performance, but also experiences for audiences. So either as spectators, but also as protagonists, as the main character in the storytelling. And we want to experiment. We want really to encourage you to experiment and take risks with this. The whole ethos of this program, of course, is to support innovation, and we understand that innovation takes risks. And we understand that there will be projects that will be incredibly successful and others that may be less successful, but that's part of trying to innovate in this space. To help you to understand what we are not looking to fund, we've put a little list here, but of course everything is under guidance as well. So we will not fund projects that don't have a clear innovation path, that are using existing technology without any particular breakthrough or any particular idea around using that technology in a different way. We won't fund projects that do not have an R&D component, that do not need any kind of R&D work. That's not what this call is for. We're also looking at funding things that have a live element in them. So that's why we're focusing on live performance and immersive experiences. They both share the idea of a live experience for an audience. So we will not fund films, albums, podcasts, and like other things like that. We're not funding games specifically, primarily because, of course, we understand that there's a lot of convergence around the different types of human expression and how you use different tools in different ways and platforms. And of course, you can use a game platform, a game engine to develop something which is totally fundable under this call. So by all means, this doesn't mean don't use game engines. Yes, do, but we will not be funding a new game, for example, or an application that only looks at an interactive game. And lastly, we will not fund any theoretical research that hasn't got an R&D element or a practical application to it. In terms of the eligibility criteria for the call, you can be either a freelancer or an individual. You can apply as an individual or as a company, as either a microbusiness or an SME. You must be 18 years or older. And then you have to choose either one or the other between live performance or immersive experiences, but you can also choose both if your project straddles across both areas. So we're not, it's not compulsory to choose one. If your project has an element of immersive and live performance, by all means, you can also apply. You must be, and this is really important, you must be in the West Midlands, so your business must be in the West Midlands, or you must be resident in the West Midlands. There are, of course, sometimes borderline cases where maybe a company was incorporated elsewhere and then you moved to the West Midlands. That's also fine. We can always look at individual cases. The important thing is that we understand that the benefit of the funding goes to the West Midlands, either to an individual or a company. And of course, we are very happy to accept applications from any part of the community. This is a very diverse community in the West Midlands, and we're looking to attract as many as possible people that may not have applied for funding before or are from communities who were not represented in this kind of funding in the past. Also, in geographical terms, we're very interested in calls coming from a few parts of the West Midlands where we received less applications, in particular Hertfordshire, Shropshire, Worcestershire, and the Black Country. We also actively promote this call in those regions, but of course, if you are from one of those regions, we very welcome you to apply for this call. So you've got a month now, roughly, just slightly less than a month, to prepare expressions of interest. So this call is for expressions of interest. This is just the first stage of the call. The expression of interest is asking for a very simple document, a 3-page statement, a written statement. You can also present as a slide deck if you want, maximum of 12 slides, or you can also present a video if you want, a 3-minute video as long as you answer to the questions on the form, that's perfectly fine. So the expressions of interest will be reviewed by a panel of two people, one academic and one innovations expert. They will be scored, and at the end of the stage one review, there will be a kind of shortlisting meeting with a panel that includes industry representatives, academics, and business innovation experts. And between 18 and 22 expressions of interest will be selected to go on to full application stage. And the full application will involve an interview, a structured interview, which will happen in person, or if the applicant is unable to attend, we will find an alternative arrangement. This is the most important thing. What are we looking for? So the assessment criteria, of course, are completely designed to respond to that. So the most important aspect of the EOI, of the proposal that you're presenting, will be its innovation content. So the first question we look at is how innovative is the proposal, and that will count for half of the scoring for the application. And then the remaining half is split in two between two other questions. So one is about the potential for commercial or economic impact of your project, and the last 25% is for the element of social impact of your project. So any element of responsible innovation, EDI, so equality, diversity, and inclusion, or sustainability in its widest sense, but it could be environmental sustainability as well, of course. If you consider any of these aspects in your application. And of course, there are a lot of different ways of tackling social impact. It can be very different from one application to another. And we are very interested in seeing, innovative ways of looking at how your project, a CreaTech project, a live performance project, an immersive experience project, tackles at least one of these areas. And we are not going to give you more points if you cover every area. It's important to cover at least one, but at least to show how you engage with at least one of these areas meaningfully. The whole process of assessing the applications is double blind, so the people that review the applications do not know who is applying, But even then, I mean, there is no way of identifying who's the person applying unless in the text there is something that may make this obvious. And if this happens, of course, and if the assessor knows the person, they will recuse themselves, and there is a process for managing, an internal process for managing conflict of interests and making sure that the process is as fair as possible. Also, there is some personal information that goes in the expression of interest form, but none of this information will be made available to the reviewers. So this is kept completely separate. The only thing that happens, we use the data in aggregate, for example, from the survey. There's a survey at the end of the form asking for various personal information, and that is completely voluntary, so you don't have to fill it in. But if you do fill it in, it remains completely anonymous, and it's used then only for our own statistics, looking at the penetration of our work and how it's affecting different areas and in different groups in the community. So the timeline is all here. The important date, I guess, for you is the second one, which is the submission window when it closes for this stage. So when the expressions of interest must be in by the 11th of May. Then again, if you are selected to develop the full application, the next important date is a week in July when there will be in-person interviews with the applicants. So that's a week to put in the diary if you go ahead and decide to apply. And then we will announce the projects at the end of July, and we hope to get everyone contracted by September, and then start all the R&D activity and the collaborations with academics and other partners between October 2026, so from October to April 2027. So an activity that will last for 6 months. We will have starting date probably around the 15th of October, if we stick to the plan. Just a reminder that there will be future funding calls, of course, as I mentioned earlier, and we were planning to run a similar thematic innovation call every year. So the next year will be on a different thematic area, not live performance and immersive again. Then we will run, as we will do later this year, Foundations call, but 10K only every year. We'll also have a number of industry-led challenge calls that we are still designing and will be confirmed later this year. And also a number of calls that we want to run together with other creative industries clusters in the UK. One of the clusters is in Belfast, so in Northern Ireland, is the Future Screens NI, and the other one is Music Futures in Liverpool. So these are also to be confirmed. And then next, actually, this is wrong, should be 2027, in partnership with Digital Catapult. Next year, we will launch a call for 4 grants of 50K for creative applications of generative AI. And then the following year, in 2028, another call for the same 50K grants, another 4 for specifically on looking at vertical markets and how creative companies can provide services in high growth industry sectors using the technology that they have developed and the skills that they have in the creative and artistic areas. Yes, for more information, I mean, these are our channel, the website, our LinkedIn page, and our Instagram. I leave it for a moment so that if you want just to get the QR code.